All right, I think we're live. Are we live?
I don't think so.
No?
Are we?
I don't know.
I don't know. I never. Oh, yeah, I think we are.
We are. Oh, man, I forgot to put the little video. I was too busy talking to Chris, who's a real smart guy. I got wrapped up in all his knowledge. Hold on a second.
What is this program, Kurt, that you're using?
I'm using Melon app.
Melon app.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I can store all my graphics on there. So I like it for that because all my information gets stored up there. So and it's
I can hear somebody's TV.
What happened?
Someone's TV's playing in the background.
Yeah, is that yours, Chris?
It can't be mine. I'm on a noise canceling headphone. What do you hear?
Like a game or something.
Some kind of television. It sounds like a commercial now.
Let's see. Let me see something. Let me see. I shouldn't have that. My noise cancellation should be working on that. But let me see if this works.
No worries. All right, guys. How you all doing? You're probably still watching the game here.
You hear anything now?
Yeah, no, it's all gone, I think, right? No. Like Cody?
Well, this thing's got hypersensitive microphone on it. The app of this app.
Right. No worries, Chris. All right, guys, we're in the game. It's just about over. It was an ugly game, guys. I'm really concerned about some injuries. I think we look very sloppy. It's not the end of the world. And it's, your backups and all this other stuff. Peely's injury bothered me because I'm concerned about that injury. I really don't like some of our offensive linemen. I think Skyler did a nice job to maybe take that second quarterback position. We could let White go. I think Jalen Wright looked good. I thought Tyndall popped a ton. I thought Malik Washington with that hit and then to come back and make a real nice play after that was definitely a good, a positive. So that's what I saw really kind of as the night went on. What'd you guys think?
It was kind of hard to watch there for a little bit.
It was brutal.
Yeah, we covered that series there where they had all the false starts in that one sequence.
Lots of false. We were sloppy. To me, Driscoll is not a center. You can't have him at center. He's like okay at tackle. You know what really bothered me was Robert Jones had a bad night. He was thrown down twice and beat on a pass rush. I was very, very surprised. I was a little upset because I've been riding him as a guy that's going to be promising for us. And I think he will. You can't, get too hyped out on what we got here, but we need a guy that's definitely going to be a strong positive for us on this offensive line. And I don't know.
Peely looks like that injury is not insignificant. It looks like he's hobbling quite a bit.
I hope. And I think we lost we lose? We lost one of the receivers, too. He went down as well, and we've been struggling with the receiver injuries. I don't think he was making the team anyway. What was his name? I can't remember. What is it?
Anthony Schwartz.
Yeah.
Blaze.
Yeah, he went down. Peely's I like Peely. I like him a ton. I think his development there is real possible. I hope it's nothing serious. We need it. Hey, what's going on? BJ, my man. There he is. Hey, listen, I got to say, before I get into this, man, I want to say thank you. The greatest thing that, I love to do this thing, but to me, people are the most important thing. I was terrified to start doing this thing. My man, Cody, got me to meet Bobby Schaus, real nice guy from Dive Bar. I got an interview of him coming up. I'm going to interview the ghost of Adam Gase, and I think they're going to have me on their channel. And he's a real nice guy. And I just want to say, Cody, thank you for you're a little glitchy, Cody. You're a little glitchy. That's it, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
Your ace is
log off and come
back. Go for it, man. Come back. You're awesome in my book, though, brother. You're awesome in my book. But I also want to give you a shout out. Oh, no worries, man. And I appreciate you. Trust me. And then PJ is a man, dude. PJ, I'm sorry, Cody. You're going to get trumped by PJ over here. PJ is like, dude,
I'm
when you come into the game, I said, I don't know. I talked to the wife, and she's like, yeah, let's go. I said, week 2? She's like, yeah, let's go. So I'm going to week 2. PJ gave me a great deal on tickets next to him. Going to be watching the game with them week 2. I'm coming in for a nice trip with the wife. I'm so psyched. So PJ, thank you really for inspiring me to come to the game and then hooking me up with awesome tickets, brother. So you and Cody are great, and then Chris too, man. Chris has been supporting me for a long time. So you guys are really awesome. I'm really grateful for all you guys. Mental mistakes are one thing. Being physically dominant, yeah, we would dominate, dude. Look, I know that for a couple of years now, I've been talking O-line, and some people, they kind of get sick of hearing that thing. I got to do a little ditty on that quickly. I just don't think that people really, really, really get it. Whatever difficulty level you're doing on the field from a skills position, that difficulty level is set by the offensive line. So it sets everything up. Anybody who's ever had to throw a football with guys in your face through the whole game or run the football into a wall over and over again understands. Why do you think isotonic gloves by Marino was going to the offensive line all the time? It sets the table, makes the NFL world go around. And I am not thrilled. I've been very patient. I want to be, positive for the people who want positivity. I don't want to make my evaluations too hard. But this is bad, guys. We have a soft offensive line, and if Jones doesn't pull it together, I'm very concerned. Don't mean we're not going to suck, but the difficulty level for the season will be very, very high, I think, unless we get something straightened out. We got to go get a vet. Got to. Hey, Tom, what's going on? Hey, Curtis, continued theme, unable to run it. What do you expect? Everybody in the league is going out to get offensive linemen. Everybody in the league is investing in the offensive line, and we chose a road less traveled. And I'm going to wait to see how it plays out. I do think what you're seeing here is going to be totally different when you got Hill and Waddle and Jonnu and OBJ and HN in the back and McDaniel's doing his schemes. But at some point, it's going to have to be physical. The best fighters in the world eventually get put in the corner. They get put in the phone booth. And there's going to be some key moments where you're going to have to win in that phone booth. And I think it's a little concerning for me. And I'm not, going to go, crazy because we haven't seen Win in there, no Brewer, no Tehran. But this is a bad group. It's a poor group. Skylar Thomas was better than White than he was. And if you watch, I don't know if I did it here or someplace. My man's Cody's back. Guys, I want to say hello to Chris Jones, man. His first night on tonight. I love when all you guys come on. My goal is to have like the Brady Bunch here sometime with everybody. I don't know if my computer can handle it or this thing can handle it or something. But so everybody say hi to Chris tonight. He's bitten the bullet and come on with my antics over here. Skylar got the ball out really quick last week. That's the key to this thing, So it's a big deal. And I think like right here, Fernando saying cut Mike White saves 3.5. I think there's a penalty though that we get out of that. I don't think it's a free run. I think some of that gets attached, but who cares? It's Ross's money. Who cares? They're not cutting him. He didn't play tonight. Because he's the starter. Grier, for whatever you think, he believes in his resume. He holds to his resume, and certain guys he just sticks with to the end. He overpaid for Jackson. So I think he's starting. He's starting week 1. I think he's starting because if Jones is playing tonight, they're saying he's backup. They need to see more. The guys that really didn't play tonight are the guys they're banking on saying we're going into the season with. So he's definitely win, but is he going to be on the PUP? I don't think you can't bring him in now. 2 weeks go to the season. You got to get that body like loosened up, man. He's an injury risk as is. So I think you're going into the season with Eichenberg somewhere. Listen, the beauty of it is this. Like, I think the beauty of this season is this for Dolphin fans. And I think that it doesn't matter. The results aren't really as important as this evaluation. Chris Grier has run the show for like 7-8 years now. And he's done some good stuff. And he's done some questionable stuff. And he's done some ugly stuff. But it's a soup. You know, you're seeing like a guy like Peely, hopefully he's all right. You're seeing a guy like Bonner, and you're seeing a guy tend to offset some of these ugly things or things that you're not happy with. But he's got a philosophy. And this whole philosophy will be coalesce into this season. And he said, I am totally eschewing any real investment on this offensive line. I believe in all-out skills and quick throw to drive this system. And you know what? If it works, he's a genius. If not, he's a fool. And I think there's a lot of Dolphin fans that have been backing him, that they'll understand that either A, he's a genius, or he's a fool. And we have to let that thing play out. We have to let it play out. I'm sorry, Chris.
Isn't it the truth? He's probably somewhere in between. Even if he's not a total fool, he's certainly no genius. He may just be like middle of the pack somewhere. He's hit or miss like a lot of GMs. You like to focus on the offensive line, but has he been perfect elsewhere? Look at Noah. Look at this first-round draft choice, Cam Smith. That guy's no first-round draft choice.
Yeah.
He misses elsewhere, too.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's especially damning on the offensive line because it gets exposed more.
Yeah, but also, too, I think that the reason I would say he's genius or a fool is because, like, my approach is just a general approach. It's like a tried and true basic formula. It's like what everybody believes in. And so he took this like paragon of beliefs, like an essential truths, and he dared to defy them. And he had success. He had the number one offense, 2 offense, 2 years in a row with no offensive line. It's insane when you think about it.
Yeah, well, with Tyreek Hill, you can do a lot of things.
Right. But ultimately, he said to the history of the league, I know better. And so if he's right, that's brilliant. And if he's wrong, then he's a fool.
Or you can look at it this way. He doesn't have the offensive line that you would welcome or wish they had. So instead, he has a guy like McDaniel that schemes the heck out of it. All that motion and all the speed and all. And look how speed focused they are. This short circuits or circumvents the fact that they've got problems on the line. And they made it work. I mean, against some lesser opponents through most of the year, number 1 offense in the league. Look at Tua. So they made it work. The problem is, as you pointed out, they get up against stiffer competition, especially late in the year against a more physical team, and you've only got a few things that you do. Now you're screen happy and throwing bubbles all the time, and you can't move the ball.
Yep. And, well, the thing is, too, that Grier has made some critical misses, whether it's Cam Smith, it's what's the kid's name? The center that just got signed with KC, doubling down on Kinley with 2 force, Eichenberg, the second and third. I mean, Cosme was right there. You could have taken, hey, roasted nuts. What's going on, brother? What's up, man? And so I think that, Cam was a second-round pick. And I understood sort of why he took it, but sort of not. He could have had Torres.
That's right. He's a second-round pick. That's right. Who was the first? Did they have one? Who was the first?
No, they had the second. It was Achan in third. And he did great with Achan.
He was a second-round pick, but he was there first. I see. Right.
Yeah. I never understand. Hold on a second. Derek Ryan. What's going on there, brother? I never understand why people don't see investing money is crucial to success, probably because it's not. Also, and this is the thing that like I've committed myself to, is that if you've never played, you don't really. And I'm not saying I played at a high level. Don't get me wrong. I played against some Division I guys in junior college, and I've been hit hard. But I've played it for a long time. I've studied for a long time. It's so hard to evaluate the offensive line and understand that the value it brings. People just don't get it. There's not really stats to back it. It's very loose. And I'm actually Scott, that's been on here a couple times. I'm looking for a mathematician. We're putting together this basket of statistics that are going to be leverage stats that are going to factor in the blocking, how it leads to receivers and routes, matching up against defenders in coverage, and maybe even pressure in there to create a leverage stat for the quarterback to see how much the quarterback is being supported or they're carrying. Because when you get an average offensive line, that is the flat framework with which you can evaluate someone. It's the best to evaluate a player, running back or a quarterback. Receiver has two levels of mitigation. He's got the offensive line that affects the quarterback and then the quarterback to make the throw. That's why it's really hard to evaluate receivers. But running back and quarterback are directly attached to the offensive line. And so if an offensive line is very good, say like you look at Barry Sanders and you look at Emmitt Smith had a Hall of Fame offensive line. Guy was a good back, but he was totally boosted by that offensive line, where Barry had a subpar offensive line and only his super sublime talent raised them up, and even Aikman and stuff like that. So I'm gonna get those analytics codified and brought out to you. But people, fans, the typical fan, and that's why I've focused on it for all these years, because it's very easy to be deceived if you're not starting every evaluation with the offensive line. They don't have to be great, but you're beginning to create context for every skill position based on the functionality of the offensive line and whether it's a neutral position, a positive, or a negative position. And I think that's one of the reasons why I do appreciate Tua more than, say, some people, because in order to do what he's doing now, you have to curtail a lot of options. And then not only do you have your limited menu, but then you have to make that little menu you have accentuated so much in order to create the production that he has. And it's just very hard for people to understand O-line and what it does in the game of football. I think we lost Chris.
You got me?
We're not. Oh, really? Really? Ooh. Oh, hey.
You're back now,
Hey.
though.
Hey, yeah. Did you see Wynn? You see that one, Chris? Wynn may not play this season. McDaniels said Wynn had a relapse. That's brutal. That's brutal. Holy cow! I didn't hear that.
I think they're
Fernando, why didn't you tell me, man? Where were you? You guys, listen. If you guys ain't getting hot news like that, email me, man. That is massive.
I think you'll have to sign a veteran after with these cuts coming up.
I disagree, because you know what? Everybody is going.
What choice are they going to have?
There's going to be nobody. It's all going to be the cuttings. And so, like, if you have a guy who's like but those cuttings would be third and fourth stringers.
Yeah, but if you got a team elsewhere that's got a really good offensive line, they may have to part with players, Curtis, that are
they could trade that. Though. They'll trade it.
Maybe not. But even if they had players that were expendable, those expendable players may be right about, even with what we're working with here.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, Chris. I think that you got, the NFL's kind of moved a little bit. It used to be like cornerbacks, left tackle, quarterback, and then it became receiver, were like those big pieces. But you're seeing just this like spike in the value of the offensive line. And I think the lack of practices, and I think the way the NFL is heading means you need more talent at that position in order to get things done, because there's just not enough reps. And I think that a lot of these teams are holding on to these guys. They might be an aged vet, and then they get rid of them. But if there's any value, they're going to hold them or trade them. But I hope you're right. If Wynn's not in, that's devastating. I'm really actually sad about that. Hey, I'm missing anybody here. Tom. History may show that Dan. There's a whole bunch of things here that are great. I didn't see. I got all sucked up on you. You guys can't talk O-line, man. I get lost. Dan Campbell's philosophy on building teams more. Yeah, it is. It's obviously, it's more consistent. It's 100%. I don't even think there's much doubting that. McDaniel said compounding issues last week. I missed that. And I'm mad at you. You didn't send me a text on that, man. If I don't cover that in a podcast, that means I missed it. Oh, man. Poupart reported a couple of days. I'm slow on the draw, man. How can I be slow on it? I blame you, Cody.
Is my video still weird? I switched.
No, you look great, dude. You look great.
How about the sound?
Perfect. You're perfect, dude. Don't sweat it.
Yeah. Well, I missed a lot, but you guys, if you got what's up, Dolphins Realtor? That guy's cool. When last I was on, we were talking about before I cut out, you guys were talking about Mike White and the situation of the backup quarterback and what to do. And I was just mowing my lawn a little bit ago, and I was thinking, there's nothing to do right now. Like, there's nothing you can really do right now that's going to be a step above. I mean, maybe this is upsetting to some people, but the time in the system, the time we've worked with Mike White and Skyler, I don't think you're going to get anybody up to speed that quick.
100%.
This looks like a go with, and not even a who's got the highest ceiling, go with who can be the best this year, and then really look in the draft next year for a new guy.
100%. I totally agree on that. I totally agree on that.
Here's a question for you, Curtis. Why if they were going to release Ahmed, did they bring in another back? Remember, the previous week they were short on backs. They had to use the receiver.
Yeah, I don't think Cap for life. What's going on, brother? I think that they know who they're going to keep. And I think that Ahmed's biggest problem was he can't pass block, and he's not a reliable receiver.
Or run through a tackle.
Yeah, he's just speed. Nice guy. Real
had
nice
some big games. Going all the way back to the Fitz years. Ahmed had big games. He's been a dependable. He's the only running back we've had in this uniform recently that has not had a single injury.
Yeah, and up until now.
Not been injured. Everybody else has been injured.
I think last year he got injured. I'm not sure.
No, I saw printed this morning. He's not been injured.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a good thing. That's availability is a key aspect. Huge aspect. I think that they understand that with this offensive line, they need guys that can catch. They need guys to get out in routes quick. I like Jalen Wright. He looked really good tonight. I think Wilson they're going to keep because of financial matters and veteran status. I think they wanted to give him a bunch of reps tonight. I don't know about Brooks. You know, a lot of people like Brooks, but you have to remember that kind of back, big backs that are not too shifty, they need yards before contact to really get going. That's why a lot of those big backs fail here because we just can't create the yards before contact. Can't stop the run and say, yeah. You know, the thing is though, with that, we're going to blitz our way to stopping the run, but then that opens up problems. And I did a film study on Brooks, who I like a ton, but he's not good at attack, stack, and shed. And if we're light on the interior and some of these edge guys aren't, they're not that good at the edge, it could be a problem. We might have to over blitz, and that leaves us exposed. Oh, I told you got me on the dive bar and to meet Bobby Schaus. He's a German guy, man. I'm still working on saying his name. That was real nice, He's a good guy. That guy, Bobby Schaus. I'm gonna meet the Adam Ghost of Adam Gase guy. He seems real nice too. But man, those are nice guys. But I wouldn't be there without my man Cody.
Hey man,
Cody's
a place here.
Yeah, you're the man, dude. You're really a nice guy. I wish. I'm definitely gonna I definitely got to meet you someday. Guys, I'm going to the week 2 game. So all you guys that are going, please, I'd love to meet you, man. I really would. I appreciate you guys a ton. Let me get back to this.
Packers and you're kind of worried about some of them in the run game. Like I think Brooks and Long can really play off each other really well because I see Long as just a run stuffer. I mean, he can cover. He's got athleticism, but that guy's a run stuffing middle linebacker. And then Brooks, it sounds like he lost a little weight, so he could be a little quicker.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just all about trying to beat Mahomes and beat Josh Allen and beat Lamar. Like we needed to get some athleticism on the back end. Not our middle linebackers. It's been Carlos Dansby. That's my dude. There hasn't been anybody really holding it down since Dansby. So we had to get a little more athletic. But I think we're really hoping our big dogs up front are going to eat some bodies for us because I don't know. I haven't seen Walker play enough though, but he sounds like he can stuff. But
so all right, so Chris, what do you think about where our defense is? Do you think we're going to have the ability to do what we got to do as far as stops? Because we love those light boxes. You seeing the run stoppability?
Well, remember, it's hard to use the preseason as a great evaluator of this.
Yes.
They had games last year in the preseason. They looked god awful. They didn't like the Atlanta game and a few others. They just looked awful. They got in the regular season. They're You know, they came on. That first game, your man Fangio gave up a ton of yards against the Chargers there. But eventually they kind of, 2 years in a row, towards the end of the year, the defense was kind of holding their own. It was the offense that was miscuing. They couldn't get out of their own way. But I think this defense, you got Fuller in there. He's not Howard in his prime, but he's not bad. No. And then you got Ramsey on the other side. Poyer in there. You got Maine in there. You got some much stronger at the safety. You're faster. To your man's point. Forgive me, Mr. Success. What's your first name again? You did say
Cody.
Captain Cody.
With Brooks being a step or so faster than what we've had in there, I think they're going to be okay in there. They're not going to be dynamic. I think they'll be probably middle of the pack, maybe towards the upper half of the middle of the pack. But they're going to be enough because that offense is primed to score a lot of points. If they can get the lead on a lot of people, you can turn Chop and those guys, especially if Phillips comes back as, who knows, it's almost afraid to see him play. But if they come back stronger, they'll probably hold their own. Maybe they just have to outscore teams this year. I think that'll work.
I think those are fair points. I mean, I think it's a dangerous gambit. I think it's a risky gambit to have to do that. But if we do, yeah. Well, you're at a philosophical stage where you've coalesced your philosophy into what you have. Correct. There was off ramps years ago, and we didn't take those, and so that's why I keep going back to Grier's philosophies being critical.
But you asked how we're going to do this year. As far as this year, that's what we have. We can't change our hands going into the game, right? So this is what we have this year.
No, we have no choice. It's the only option we have.
Right.
I just think that it's a risky. It's not as I think it was. I think it was Realtor that said, the build style of the Lions is more consistent. It's portable. If you put us in Miami in the heat and there's nice conditions in a dome, you're screwed. You know what I mean? You got a lot of problems. But outside that, it starts getting dicey. So
I think some of that cold weather stuff may be a tad overstated. I know it was ice cold last year, but they are signing defensive players off the street for heaven's sakes, and they held up well. Yeah. They forced Kansas City into multiple field goals. They had less offense against us than they did the other teams they played. It was the offense. We couldn't move the ball, and we couldn't get the points. That was mostly what hurt us. And the offense was far healthier than the defense was.
Oh, yeah. But if you want to, let me just answer this one first, and I'll get to that. Is Bolton? I just don't think I think Tyndale. They're going to ride with Tyndale. I think they're going to ride with Walker. I think they're going to ride with Long and Brooks. I don't know if they're going to take 5. Oh, I know they're going to take Duke. I think that's the 5 they take. I think Bolton might make it on your practice squad. And you know what? As a matter of fact, I've been watching the last 2 weeks because some of you guys have been saying, look at him. And he has caught my eye a little bit, but I don't think he's ready at all for start. I think I don't think he's ready at all.
Well, how about this? If I was to ask, who would you be shocked? I mean, are there enough standout players in these preseason games where you'd fall off the chair if they cut somebody, or would you almost not be shocked by any cuts? And I don't mean the high-end rookies. I mean some of these second and third string guys that are trying to make the team.
I think they should cut Eichenberg, but I know they're not going.
You know that won't happen.
I was hoping that's just played the whole damn game and just.
I think Tyndale would be very interesting, and there was somebody, I think it was PJ maybe, was saying that maybe they're. Because some of these guys, too, they're getting the shine and getting lots of reps because they might be trade bait, like some of our secondary guys, So I think Tyndale's a guy that maybe he's flashed enough where you could do something with him. We don't have enough receivers to do it. I mean, maybe you could move off Mike White for another team. Maybe get some kind of trade value for him. Running backs, maybe Wilson, but there's money attached, and I think you're going to need a 4th. And I don't think you want to go, Storm Duck gave us a TD tonight. That broke my heart. Yeah, Duke is terrible in coverage, but he's a special teamer, and he can fit in. He can fit in certain coverages, but they asked him to play man, which was crazy. I know those are 2 plays. He went under instead of over. But in zone, he's not bad, and he's a good run stopper, and he's a good special teamer. Small spot, duty. Yeah, Smythe. Oh, we got rid of Smythe. I'd be devastated. He's not a great, but he's something. Our tight ends, Fortson looked terrible. Rucci, I liked him, and then I gave him the kiss of death. I said I liked him, then he collapsed. Tanakana, I don't know. Is he going to be around? So, yeah, Smythe would be.
I was wrong about him. Like, he looked the part to me. He's got the build, the body, but I don't know. So did Jermichael Finley, and I was wrong about that guy too. So,
yeah, it's hard. It's such a weird sport. Even like guys that like they're on the verge and you like think they're really doing good, and all of a sudden out of nowhere they start flopping. It's very, very difficult. It's a very, very difficult sport. Defense, I think Harris is going to get cut. What's going on with BJ? Does anybody know what's going on with BJ? Not BJ. Jones, the nose tackle. What's his name? Benito Jones.
I don't think anything's going on with him.
I haven't seen him.
He's been injured for a while.
Alf's been just kind of saying since the start of training camp, he's a 0 and that's it. And he's our guy. And he's just been really confident that we found our 0 and that's who's going to be our number 1 nose. So I just kind of have believed Alf and have just thought Benito's making the team and he's our.
Oh, he's definitely making a team, but I think he's been injured for a while.
That's because he's 600 pounds. I don't know if you've seen him.
I know he's like 6 feet tall.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah, I know he is, but there's some kind of weird injury going on there.
Yeah, they probably have no reason to play him either. As Odin says, they've already decided that he's going to be that guy, and there's just nothing to be learned by rolling the dice in the preseason.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe I think it was like some kind of leg thing that was bothering him.
Seems like there's injuries all over the place in this team.
This was a bad day for us. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just being super cautious. It kind of sucks during the preseason. They won't release any real information about any of the injuries. We just have to speculate. You just hope these guys are all right. And I know Hill was dinged, and that was kind of a controversy on your site there for a little bit. What
was that? Well, repeat that. I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh, you made a headline that said Hill dinged. And that was part of like one of your videos, and there was a gentleman that got upset that it was.
Oh, and I was just reporting it. I didn't mean to. I was just reporting it.
He is dinged. That's what they said.
It's a big deal. I did 4 sentences. I got in trouble. I always get in trouble. I'm married. I'm used to it. Sorry, babe.
No,
they're probably not going to play him a lot anyway. There's just so many. McDaniel said before the game, today was about winning positions. We got spots that need to be won. So the conclusion there is that they're just trying to see who's going to make this final cut, and they're going to, walk and go 2 weeks from today and see how they hold up against Jacksonville.
Be very interesting who makes if some of these guys going through. I mean, I know Craycraft is. Honestly, Jessica, what's going on? I'm going to week 2. I'm going to see you guys versus us week 2. I'll make sure I get nice and drunk just in case. Either it's a happy win or how you doing there, sister? How's your Bills looking? I'm going to start covering them again this week. I just haven't had the time, and it's just been – but I'm going to be back in hard. I got to start watching all that preseason stuff. How are they looking? Nameless one is another Bills guy. What's going on there, brother? I'm getting back to you, I promise. You guys, I think, are looking pretty good. Did Allen play this preseason? I didn't hear anything about it.
I know Curtis Samuel got hurt, and that's kind of –
Oh, he did? Bad?
I don't know about bad, but I just know he's got some kind of injury, and he might miss week 1. I don't know. My Bills fans let me know.
Yeah, I got to get back into it.
That's kind of his MO. He's a really good weapon, but struggles staying healthy.
I'm going to – oh, turf toe. That's not good.
Yeah, okay. I knew it was something that might linger. Yeah.
That sucks. It depends. It could take a couple of weeks, but that's beat. I mean, for us, it's good, but I mean, I hate seeing guys get injured. He was going to be an interesting piece for the Bills. I want to see us beat. I want to see you beat these teams top notch, man. I want to know out for a few weeks. Okay, you guys can get over that. You guys got a bunch of pieces back there. I like some of your other guys, and I think you guys are going heavy with Kincaid and 2 tight ends. So hopefully, well, he's going to be out week 2. A couple of weeks. That means week 2. Woo!
Yep.
We need it.
Skyler system like that. I think Skyler could go in Buffalo and play in that system a lot better than ours.
Yeah. So anyway, what do you guys? What's your for me going into this week 1? Craycraft, is going to be out. It's going to be Hill, Waddle. Somebody was saying that OBJ is just got in his contract. I'm not doing training camp. What do you guys think about that?
Probably not far from the truth.
I think probably. Could you imagine that? Like all this stuff, and OBJ just suddenly shows up week 1. That'd be very interesting.
Reason, I was listening to Reason, and he's kind of got a little theory that now the practice is closed to the media. Nothing's going to leak. He thinks this is the time OBJ is now going to get his reps in. They're going to insert their offense, their game plan for week 1, and it's going to be the OBJ show.
I think so. I think that sounds like a really good take.
He got upset. OBJ got upset. He got called out. Somebody said, is this a Will Fuller situation? And if you read what OBJ said, it was basically like, dude, everybody knows I'm about ready to go. Like when the curtain comes, I'm ready to go, man. So
yeah, OBJ really reacted to that. He's like Kevin Durant. He really reacted to all that.
Yeah, he got upset. Yeah. So Curtis, this is I was wondering if you're going to make a video on your 53. Is that something you were going to make? Maybe what you thought the 53 was going to be before Tuesday?
Yeah, I was going to be tomorrow. I might have to do one of these live things or whatever. Sadly, the guy who does the editing for me, his grandfather died, so he's going to be away for a couple of days. But yeah, I'm definitely going to do it at 53. I think I pretty much have it. One of the things that I'm a little concerned, not concerned, I don't really. Hold on a second. I can't type and talk. Hold on a second.
That's all right.
There we go. All right. So the DBs, I'm a little uncertain with. I'm very fixated on Storm Duck, so I think I might get that one wrong. I don't think he's going to make it, though. I kind of got a feeling from tonight he might not make it. And then
I didn't see McMorris tonight.
He's hurt.
Is he? Oh, that's what it is. Oh, that's it.
Yeah, he put him on the pup, stashing him. I hope I got that right. I thought I just read that a little bit ago.
It may be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you think you'd have seen him.
Yeah, or it depends. It's like if at this stage, if you're playing tonight, you're either A, like a rookie, they want to get you some seasoning, or B, they're a guy who's on the fringe, or C, you're a guy that they want to trade you and they're trying to get some tape for you.
Well, I hope not.
Or D, they're just trying to give you tape so when you go someplace else.
I hope not. Because that'd be Paul, that'd be Wright, that'd be Needham, that'd be a few guys.
Yeah. Easy's in the boat.
But
we got too many of these guys that are going in the 3rd and 4th season. We're still waiting for them to pop. There's some poor drafting on some of these guys. Too long we wait for these guys. It's I really feel like Chris Grier just knows he's totally locked. Doesn't feel like he's actually drafting as somebody who's got job security in mind. It's you wait too long for these guys. I mean, just to go through all the list of the guys that we're waiting. Easy's got to show something this year. Zach Tom hurt me. Tyndall and Easy, man. I wanted Tom bigly.
Well, Paul didn't play well tonight, and we know he's not getting cut.
No, but he's just getting seasoning. He's the fourth tackle. He's just a guy who's getting seasoned. They can try to get as many reps for him because he's not getting it regular season unless Lamb will be both left and right tackle before. It's only if we're blowing a team out and we want to get him little live action reps, or if we're in emergency mode. He is the 4th tackle. There's no way he's starting. It's no way. There's no way. And there's no way he's playing guard. But that's fine. You know what I mean? You want this guy to get seasoning. It's going to take time. So how's it? No, that's not true. Not so much, Jessica, because there's a couple of guys that so we have DBs like Bonner and Storm Duck and Maitre. It's a bunch of guys that are that 5th and 6th. Bonner's definitely making it, but there's a few guys that are fringe guys that really showed exceptional talent. And there's some guys on the interior D line where they're all kind of a lot of parity. So I don't think that's necessarily the case. I'll disagree on that one because there's a lot of guys that are just in this like nebulous area, and it's just a little bit here or there. And also some of these guys are so close that if they do look good in this tape, you can maybe get something for them and move them on or something. So I don't necessarily think. I think I think that maybe you're right in some areas, but for the most part, I don't think that. Robert Jones is poor tonight. He got thrown around twice in run game, which was very disappointing. I got to go back and see that. And he was beat on a pass rush. It wasn't a pretty day for him. It was very ugly, actually. And it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to he's no good, but you want something a little bit better than that. It was a little disappointing. Tyndall, I think, way more likely than Duck. I think Duck's a guy. What do you think, Chris? Think Duck makes it?
I'm not sure. I think Tyndale looked good tonight. I think, in fact, he looked better tonight than he has yet. Tyndale. Maybe
he did. It was his best night ever as a pro.
Yeah.
100%.
And Duck, listen, they're going to have somebody back up in there. They got to have somebody on the squad there to back it up, and he's played well. The problem is this injury is going to play a role here probably.
Yes, sir.
Listen, you saw Campbell and Needham playing in this game.
I know.
So they're even playing veterans out there trying to keep a roster.
I think Kohu's surprised from what Alfred 2 yards per carry was saying that, Kohu's on the outside. He just played himself into a position, and now Needham's on the outside. I think Needham might make it. And, he was a little slow to get involved and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he doesn't make it. Maybe some of these other young guys replace him. That was a nice play by Matre. If you just saw him, he was at the 4, and the receiver did a out and up. And it was like contact at 4, and he parried him and was like step for step and then jumped up and just really took away the lane. It was a beautiful coverage. A lot of people have been raving about him, and I kind of was like, but that was a play that I was very impressed with. I don't know exactly who he was covering. That matters, for context, but I was very impressed with that play. I think Tyndale makes it over Duck. I don't think anyone's putting Duck on the 53. I think Duck goes to the practice squad, even though I hate to say it because I'm desperate to say Storm Duck in a live game. Drafting's been 50-50. Yeah, we got to see how it plays out. There's a lot of these pieces like a Tyndall and a Cam Smith and an Achane. Achane was great last year. He's got to stay healthy and keep going. But, if these guys will play out this year and turn out big, then it's going to be big. Who's replacing? No one's replacing them. I think they're using committee. Campbell's helping out, but Campbell's not good. I was watching Campbell inside in the 2 technique. I'm not a very big fan of that. He gets stood up very easy. I like him more out of the 4 and 5. So I don't think
they've been saying he's shining in camp recently.
Yeah, but he didn't. That's just the one game that I watched him last week. He was too slow and too tall, and he just really didn't inside. Now I don't know if they were just doing that to get him some sample reps. He did bulk up to over 300 pounds, so Wilkins is a big piece we're going to miss. I was hoping Peely could be a piece of that committee. I'm hoping he's all right. Abona didn't look good today. I got to check him out. I'm doing the Twitter thing, so I'm like taking video and I'm taking snapshots, and so my ability to focus is pretty poor naturally with ADD. So it was like even worse. I got to go back and check. Oh, Driscoll's. I've been saying for a while. People are raving about Driscoll. They're crazy. You go look at Driscoll, and he was playing with the Eagles' offensive line. You know how much bonus that is? He's terrible. I mean, he's a vet he knows what's going on. He can pass block. He's terrible at center. He can't really run block. He's susceptible to power. I mean, maybe you're 9th or 10th.
Yeah. Eichenberg and Driscoll are great as your 9th and 10th because of their versatility, but
not much
this
more.
Eichenberg thing, man, I'm telling you, but I just hope. I watched a video talking about developing a punch and like what could save Eichenberg going into the season, and I don't know, man. It's scary, and I know that we don't have a lot of money. We have all these we have a lot of really big contracts. It's been an issue, the salary cap, but don't we have enough money to buy a few guards? even just a step above.
That's what I was
is
saying
it?
earlier.
I don't want to. What is it? Is it just we want to develop this guy? We had him for this many years. We believe he's going to pick this system up. I mean, we can save money. Grier knows how to save money in all different places, but I just don't get it.
Well, he might
I
have
don't
some,
know. It's
he
hard
might
to
have
know.
some naked pictures of somebody.
Listen, I look, I'm not Johnny after the fact. If you guys remember, I made videos on Zach Tom. Zach Tom in the 3rd or 4th round in the Tyndale draft was as easy a slam dunk chance as you could get. The fact that we didn't take him was baffling, depressing, and it really, it was insane. It was nearly insane. I really think Chris Grier has a lot of strengths, but it's almost like, what was that? I didn't ever watch a Seinfeld, but my friend was into that. And it was the one where the fat guy with the glasses, he's like, one day he's like, you know what? I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I normally do. Yeah, he's like, I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I normally do. And Chris Grier's decision-making, like 95% of the time on the offensive line is poor. I mean, Hunt, but then you let him walk, which is crazy. Jones is a back-end guy, but that's like a 7-8 kind of guy for you. But Hunt, I don't understand how you passed on. There's so many guys. I think part of that's the reason why you said I'm just going to invest in skills because can't do the offensive line thing. So it's like work around it. I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Well,
yeah, Tyndale had a very impactful night. I posted a few tweets on him. I was very impressed. There was one where the running back came outside on an outside run, and it was 1-on-1, and he attacked. He overshot just a little bit, but he came back and got him by the legs. He had a good night. Peely collapsed the pocket and won. The running back bounced out, and he was there. I definitely think I agree with that 100%, man. 100%. Oh, you lost our man Cody. Who's the Matrix kid? You mean Mateer? Guy, is that what you're talking about? Is it the Matrix kid? I'm not hip. I'm old. Who won? I don't know. I think they won. I didn't care who won. I just don't want those injuries. Yeah, that's the big thing, man. I'm praying for Peely. He's a big piece for us. I'm praying it's nothing serious. Dolphins came back late. That feels good. Sort of. Yeah, Hill's getting paid a lot. I don't think it's Hill so much. I think it's that you're tied Hill and Waddle. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Success.
Well, the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Highest paid ever. The 3 of them, Tua, Hill, and Waddle, are the highest paid trio in the history of the NFL.
Yep. But that's the philosophy. I mean, like I said, he's dry. That's why at this point, we have to say, listen, no matter what side you're on, let's wait and see. If you're not really an offensive line guy, you're not really feeling the weight, the interest, the intrigue, the excitement of Chris Grier being ballsy enough or stupid enough to challenge these foundational principles. And the insane part is that he's put together a cast that leaves me wondering, can this guy do it? It's not like normally I just be like, this is ridiculous. But he's created this situation where these foundational principles, although I don't put it as a likelihood to take to the highest level, he's got me guessing. And just from a football guy, from a philosophical standpoint, it's beyond intriguing. I've never seen a team that has gone to the offensive line, then gone hot and heavy like this, and then really kind of made people go, whoa, I got the top offense. It's crazy. I don't know if it's going to work, but I am so eager to find out, and that's why I say it's the most. Tua is just a piece of this avant-garde, off the road, a road less traveled approach. And it's intriguing. It really, I mean, it's unbelievable how he doesn't care about the offensive line.
Well,
and we've got to the playoffs twice.
Would that be fair to say that he doesn't care? He might just be incompetent.
He could be. He could be. But I think if you go back to the Adam Gase era, I remember we got Jermon Bushrod. He's like, we got Jermon Bushrod. This guy's way past his prime. Put him at guard. He was touting him. He was telling us a couple of years ago, a GM came up to me and said, oh, Eichenberg's out. That sucks. He's been playing well. So I don't know.
Do you remember that draft before they drafted Eichenberg and all these experts were on there? Who's the top next lineman in the draft? Who's the best lineman in the draft? Still, Eichenberg was on everybody's board. It wasn't just Grier that missed on him. The guy underplayed. He underdeveloped. Yes, I know that you'd rather had that guy out in Green Bay. Grier wouldn't be the first GM to miss on a pick. He missed on that one.
He traded up with a second and a third.
He made a mistake.
A huge mistake, but that's okay. If he had drafted Zach Tom, it'd have been okay. But he doesn't do that because he said, I spent a second and third. If I get Zach Tom, then this guy's going to get replaced. You got to be like a Trey Lance. You got to do a Trey Lance.
You never know who's going to develop, right?
But you can't be this off. I mean, like you just can't. That's how you're based. That's how you base your career. He could have just simply drafted Zach Tom instead of Tyndall, easy, and he would have been your starting right tackle or left tackle, or starting guard, or maybe even starting center.
I'm sure if he could go back in time, he would do that.
He had him in the building.
You got to play with who? I know, Curtis. He made the mistake.
I'm sorry.
He made the mistake, but he's got it right now. You're at the card table. You got your cards. You can't have the next guy's cards. You can't have the new cards. You got those cards. Here are their cards. He's going to bank on McDaniel and this system. Weaver coming in to see if they can't outsmart, outscheme, outspeed their opponents.
100%.
That's what we got, Curtis.
And it's intriguing. I could say as like an offensive line connoisseur. There's less pressure on the aficionado and a connoisseur. I don't know. I'm totally intrigued because if he can get, say, like a 1 win in the playoffs and then invest all his picks wisely next year, and a couple of those on the offensive line, what's possible? But he's got to have success this year.
Well, I think they will. And I know the last 2 years, especially down the stretch, they really crumbled at the wrong time. Injuries was some of that. There's other things too, scheme changes. But I really think this year they break through. They will at least split with Buffalo. I know everybody thinks the Jets are going to be this dynamic team. I don't. I think they're going to get swept by the Dolphins. And New England will. So, listen, everybody talks about the Bills and the Dolphins because the Bills seem to have Miami's number. They lost to the Jets. They lost to the Patriots. Miami didn't. They did. But Miami loses to them, and that's the problem, especially late in the year. A few plays differently, they could have won that game. They lost it on a special teams for one thing. But I think this year they at least split with Buffalo, and they do get one playoff win. They do. They get at least.
I hope so.
Purely on talent alone.
I do think. I think if you were to say it to me, like, okay, I think the Jets are going to be good. I don't know if they're going to be good enough to take the second in division or the first. I think that the reason we've been beating them so bad is because they have zero offense and we have an offense. And it was just such a huge difference. I think Rodgers and the investments are going to make it more parity. I think splitting
How long will he last?
Well, if you go check, he was having calf problems for years, which is like a sign of an Achilles tear.
He doesn't play in practice. He's an older guy.
It's fair. But ask yourself, I think there's more chance that he plays longer than Tehran. And if Tehran goes down, what happens to us?
Well, not just Tehran. That offensive line, you talk about
we lose Tehran. I'm devastated.
They had injuries. I don't think they fit. I think they saw it once in print. They didn't have like 2 games in a row where everybody started. It was out. It was multiple checks. But
it was terrible.
But I don't think Rodgers. I know they've got a lot of roster over there. I just don't think they're. Some people have them picked over the Dolphins. No. Maybe Buffalo. I think Buffalo falls back this year. They lost key pieces and Miami gained pieces. Miami's more talented than they were last year. Buffalo is not. They lost. Now the Jets on paper are supposed to have more talent. I'll believe it when I see it with Rodgers. Because when Rodgers went out, their quarterback dropped way off. Talk about awesome too. They dropped way off. So
they have nobody
in the year,
right? Rodgers, yeah. And they got Hackett, which like compounds the destruction of whoever they put at the quarterback position. I just think there's so many variables. Tehran stays healthy all season. It's a huge swing towards us. If Rogers stays healthy and Vera Tucker and Smith stay healthy, it's a huge swing towards that. I mean, there's just so many variables. I think that the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets, I think there's going to be good battles there. And whoever can get a little bit of luck each way, it's going to play out big. I don't think the Bills are going to take as big a step back. I'm concerned about Milano being out, although I like their linebacker situation there. They've got an excellent D front. They've got Salil Collins is playing left guard, and he's doing really good. Will he stay healthy? I don't know. But, I think that is just a lot of variables. I think any of these teams could end up first in the division. There's going to be a lot of luck. Who can manage certain situations? I don't think anything's cemented in stone. Now, I'm not really afraid of Tua getting hurt. No. I think he's learned a lot. He knows how to get rid of the ball. You check his. I took martial arts for a long time, boxing. I get to fighting and all that, and he really learned how to fall. I couldn't believe the guy didn't know how to fall. That's totally insane. But when you pull that off the table, it really. You're right. I can't hear you, Cody.
You're on mute.
I didn't mute him.
Cody, you're muted.
Yeah, Indad, you said about Sewell. I didn't get a chance to check him yet. I got to check him. He's a middle linebacker. I don't know. What do you guys know about Sewell? And you guys know about Sewell? What do you guys think?
No, I don't.
I got to check him. The Bills will win. Will have the best O-line in the AFC. They could. I think the Jets.
Yeah, but they lost skill players.
Yeah, but they're going. To be fair, and that's really what I'm. Are you there, Chris?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's Cody got knocked out. I'm sorry.
I'll wager anything Miami wins that first game against Buffalo.
I hope so. I'm going to it. I'm praying.
They got more talent on the field, and they're going to win it.
Well, if Jessica can attest to this. Been covering the Bills for a while, and although I dropped off the last year just because of sickness and stuff. But the very template they're using now for offense, I evaluated as the proper offense for them like 3 years ago. And I've said it every single year since. And I think this is just from a philosophy and scheme standpoint. They definitely lost some talent. But from a philosophy and scheme point, as far as accentuating Allen's abilities and hiding his weaknesses and accentuating their home field advantage, this philosophy is as perfect for Allen as Tua's philosophy is perfect almost as for him. Because to me, I think Tua with a good offensive line, a tight end, one fast receiver, and one big possession receiver would be a better format. But the quick throw accentuates his skill very well. And I think this system that they're employing for Allen is much better. He had his big season in 220 because teams were blitzing him, and it worked really well. But then when teams realized they could play off and the Bills couldn't run and yada, 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 it accentuated his weaknesses and forced him to run more and put his skill set at a disadvantage. And I'd said that 3 years ago. And this is a really good philosophy for him. And I think
But remember, Curtis, with Allen, a lot of times they look at how, this line about how he owns the Dolphins. A lot of that is because he is personally manufacturing that. In scheme, the Dolphins had them shut down many times. They were there. They had answers. He would take off and get the first down with his legs. It wasn't their play. It wasn't their scheme. It wasn't their philosophy. He took off and got the first down. And that's what beat them time and time again. Third and long, and he'd run. So they have to get somebody in there to guard that. On the other side.
Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going. Sorry, Chris. Keep going.
On the other side with Tua, this whole thing about this injury thing, I really think that's a little bit unfair. And I'm no defensive guy of Tua. I'm somewhere in the middle.
You're not. You're fair.
I love the guy. He's got a great personality. I mean, I'd give him the keys to my car, but I just feel that he gets way too many pardons for his mistakes that people overlook. They think he's infallible or something, or he's somewhere in the middle. But he's going to have a big year this year. But this thing about him being fragile, no. That first play by Milano, that was a late hit. That second play in Cincinnati, he was picked up and slammed to the ground. It's going to hurt a lot of people.
Brutal.
So this notion that he's so fragile. Not necessarily. He slimmed up this year. He was worst in the NFL running the ball last year. Not anymore. They slimmed him up. He's going to Everybody knew where to find him. You just dart in there, and that's where he'll be. Not this year.
Totally
He's
agree.
going to take off like Allen's doing and start picking up first downs. They're going to do that to us. We're going to do that. We're going to start taking off and picking up those first. Maybe we didn't earn it. Maybe they have our receivers covered. I doubt it. But he's going to take off and pick up the first down anyway. I'm telling you, on the field, they've lost some. Miami's gained some. They may be bigger up front. No question they're bigger in the trenches. They're stronger. That isn't going to be enough this year. I don't think so.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you now.
You got anything to say, Cody?
Well, we're all waiting for that progression from Tua to start using his legs. He used it in college. He's learned how to fall. I mean, all the tea leaves say Tua slimmed down for a reason. Tua slimmed down to start taking advantage of when they actually do have everybody covered and you can't find anybody underneath. There's green grass. Find the green grass, take it, get down, be safe. There's not one elite quarterback that doesn't do that, whether they're fast or not. Peyton Manning, he's kind of the guy I think about that really wouldn't do that.
Marino wouldn't do it.
He was Peyton Manning, though. He would scheme up the whole play at the line of scrimmage, so he didn't have to do it. And
he had good receivers, too. Excellent getting the field there. But, yeah, that's a great point there with all that green grass. Last year, we did not capitalize on that. Green grass sat there open, and it allowed teams to cover us up a little better than they should have been able to. When he starts taking off, he's going to freeze them. They're going to have to be a little bit more disciplined because he can take off.
Yeah, he's going to use eyes to run. He's going to use his eyes to move guys where he wants to do. Yep. He wasn't thinking about using his eyes to run. He was only thinking about using his eyes to get the ball out. Like, this is a conscious effort this man's made the entire offseason. This is a conscious effort the O-line's been coached to do. Everybody is on the same page, I'm sure, about what we're going to start taking. And I really want to see the check downs. I want to see Devon Achane and Jalen Wright getting 6 catches a game, just dinking. And I want the whole world to start saying, oh, little noodle arm is dinking and dunking. Yep, that's exactly what I want. And I want to use the tight end. I want to make the passes easier. I just want to be more conventional. And it just seems like all signs this offseason has pointed to with Jonnu, and we are going to be more conventional, and we are going to find those late options, and Tua's going to run. But we just don't have anybody to pass.
Well, if you look at the practices, I've been watching I live a few minutes from the stadium. You look at the practices. Never have I seen as many drills where Tua's taken off. And, yeah, I think they're a little bit in love with that screen. I understand the non-conventional, but, man, some of those bubble screens are risky, almost throwing it where it could have been intercepted. But, yeah, they'll do it a lot. But they've got Achane and Mostert in the backfield a lot more than they ever did in previous years. So I think that's what they're planning to do is exactly what you just said.
Yeah, I could see Achane catching 80 balls this year and doing a little light of the load, just a lot of outside zone and catching a lot of balls.
He gets an open space. He's dangerous.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Chris, you going to week 2 game?
Now you're up. That's up in New York, right?
Where's it's here in Miami. Or it's in Miami.
Thursday night.
Maybe. Yeah, that's the Buffalo game, right?
Let me know. I'm going. My wife and I are making a big trip of it. Maybe I can catch up and meet up. I want to say as a Cook Davis will have well over 2,000 purpose yards. Kincaid Shaquille will be very good.
Davis
Bills run a game. And so that's the thing I think that Dolphins fans and Bills fans from a philosophical standpoint should take focus on. So if you look at the Bills, their secondary, the top of their defense has diminished a little bit, although some of their cornerbacks are looking good. But that top's a little concerning, and the Dolphins have the ability to attack the top. But now if you look at the other way, the Bills are working on 12 personnel. They've bolstered their offensive line. They're going to run the ball more, which is going to take some of that risky hero ball off Allen's plate. But we like to run those light boxes, those small fronts, and we are now having a little bit of question marks in our D interior. And so both these teams have a little bit of weaknesses in certain areas where the offenses can take advantage of. And I think these are going to be the keys towards the game. And I think Allen, so for Tua's biggest problem was he only had 2 guys to get out into routes fast. So he really couldn't create progressions. They had to run a lot of play actions, keep guys extra into block. But now you can keep that 5.5, 6 guys. You can get your OBJ and Jonnu and more guys around, so Tua will have more options. He threw the ball at 1.18 seconds 2 weeks ago when he played in preseason. And this is going to change the way certain things are done in Miami. But conversely, with the Bills, guys, Kincaid's really good. I wasn't
Really
high on him because of the blocking. This offensive line's very good. And the running game is going to be very good. And it's going to reduce. I have always said that. I even created a statistic a couple of years ago that when Allen starts taking a certain number of offensive snaps, he gets diminishing returns. But as you get into that sweet spot, I think it was around 62 or 63% of the snaps, he starts getting better, higher value for what he's doing. And so I think you got both these teams here that have done good things for their quarterbacks. And there's certain things on these defenses that can get taken advantage of, but we got to see how it plays out. I think the Bills are going to be very tough. I think they're going to be way more consistent, maybe not as big impact. But one of the biggest problems with the Bills is that they were inconsistent. They would constantly 3 and outs, turnovers, but what they're putting together here is going to make them not as high impact, although you can always unveil Allen whenever you want. It's going to make them more consistent. And so in turn, we're going to have to be more consistent on offense because you got a striker and then you got a body blow guy. And so this offense of the Dolphins can't play the games that we've played because we're going to have lots of body blows where it used to be lots of throws, and it wasn't the same. This year is going to be different. We've got to put points on early. We've got to make it a chaser to a certain extent, far more in the past, because those body blows will slowly wear down these small fronts, especially with the limited guys that we have on the front. We don't have great rotation until Chubb and Phillips get back, and then maybe in the interior, we won't all season. So it's going to be very exciting. There's a lot of philosophical stuff that I think if you get fanned out, you just dismiss. But I really try to be objective. I think this is going to be a brilliant season for the AFC East. I thought last year, but Aaron screwed it up for me. Anyway, I'm sorry. So keep going.
No, you're talking. I thought you're done.
No. But I think if look, all of us, we got Bills fans, Jets fans, and Dolphin fans. The chances of us winning the Super Bowl, it's kind of not high. It's very hard to win the Super Bowl. It's very hard to win in the AFC. This is going to be fun football. I mean, we've got one of these 3 teams is going to feel like a total jackass if they come in third and miss the playoffs. This is very tense, very exciting.
Injuries and how things are.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Last year, the Dolphins were 9-3. The Bills were 6-6 and could not get out of their own way. They lost at home to Denver. They should have lost to the Giants, for heaven's sakes. They were in trouble.
Yeah,
but they one coordinator left. They let him go. That seemed to change things. Miami started to fumble down the straights, and they rallied back up. That last game, Miami should have won that game. I thought they had him beat. Many times when Allen did his old tricks, didn't work. He was like throwing interceptions in the end zone. They had a number, but we made just enough mistakes late in the game, in particular, forcing balls in the Claypool and all that, to lose that game. That can't happen again. That can't happen again, and I don't think it will. The first game, I think they'll do really well here in Miami. There's a lot of stewing over. They're lying on how they can't beat Buffalo. Tua's confidence is he's really mentally, he's really sharp now. He's feeling it. These other receivers are too. I just think they've got too much. They lost Diggs. They lost Davis. They lost Poyer. I know they're bigger inside, but I don't know that that's going to be enough. But still, it's going to be a nice race down to the end. I still think Baltimore has to be reckoned with. And Kansas City, they want that 3-peat. They can make history. It's going to be tough to stop them.
Yeah. Curtis, you made a really good point. And yeah, Chris, those are the teams we have to beat. And we know they're going to be there at the end of the year. It'd be a shock if Buffalo and Baltimore and somehow Kansas City weren't a factor. We know they're going to be a factor, but it's going to be fun. And I think there's this all or nothing division kind of, and maybe because I started on Twitter again and I took a long break, but there's this division and this all or nothing that if you don't win a playoff game, if you don't make it to the conference championship, if you don't win a Super Bowl, the season was for nothing. And it's like the journey, even if we lose in the first round, like if we win 11 games and there's some really signature wins and some of the narratives are killed, like those are fun. Being a fan and watching these games, it's fun.
Yeah,
and
but Cody, was it fun watching them fumble down?
Normalizing enjoying a regular season win instead of going, oh, that was the Giants. Oh, that was the Raiders. Like, that's fun, man. Like, I don't know, 11 wins last year, that was fun. It sucked at the end, but I'm not going to take anything away from them, you know?
There's nothing.
It was fun to the Titans game.
There's nothing fun about crumbling down the season, though, when you had all that momentum.
No, the ending sucked, but guess what? How many times did you win 5 games as a Dolphins fan?
They were the first seed in the AFC and lost it at home.
But guess what? That's how you build a fire. That's how you build character. That's
precisely
how you
fire. There's your word. They're going into this year with fire. So it's not a homer thing. I've been watching this team since the 70s. I'm old enough to have been doing that. It's not just this team is bent out of shape out of what happened last year at Buffalo. They are really offended personally, not just Tua, several of them. And this is going to be a vindication type of year. I can feel it.
I hope. Scott, I haven't seen you in a while, but I'm going to get those Bills. I'm coming back to cover the Bills, I promise, and all the teams too. I'm getting myself together. The Patriots last year, they almost beat us. If it wasn't for a big run inside, and they were gutted. They got so many injuries. Bill and Mac melted down. I do think they're going to be better this year. I think they'll be more consistent. I do think that one of our 3 teams, the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, will get one upset to the Patriots this season. And I think it's going to be a critical game. Whoever loses gets if it does happen, an upset to the Patriots is going to be a big, big blow. But I think someone's going to. I mean, it was years that my Dolphins totally sucked. Our Dolphins totally sucked. And we would upset the Patriots. It just works that way. I think there could be one. I mean, that kid looks better than Mac. I think the team's hungry this year. I think there'll be one upset that the Patriots get. So I don't know.
Well, they beat Buffalo last year. The Jets beat Buffalo last year. It's not even an upset. They split with them every year.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is with the way Chris Grier built this thing. It's exciting. It's high impact. If you get this like narrow band of like our talent meeting this situation, it's beautiful. But you look at, like, say, the way the Lions are building or the way the Steelers built for years, although when their offensive line broke down, their consistency broke down. You look at the Chiefs, they've invested heavy on their offensive line. Ravens, on and on it goes. The teams that build consistent offensive line, they might not win a Super Bowl, but they will be consistent because the offensive line makes the NFL world go round. And it sets the complexity bar, the difficulty bar for the season. The offensive line, whatever that complexity is, it helps out the skills. When the skills are effective, then they give time of possession for the defense to rest. And a rested defense makes plays, and a tired defense gives up plays. It's the offensive line. You don't need to have the best in the world. The better your skills are, the less talent, production you need on your offensive line. But you can't have what the Dolphins have had for years, which is bottom 2 or 3 or 4. It was nice having, Teron, Connor, and Hunt, but then we offset it with terrible play at tackle, terrible play at left guard, and then terrible backups. And so it was like weird. We just needed a little bit there to sprinkle through. So
it's all going to be about his scheme this year.
Hey, somebody's saying something nice. Hold the presses.
We got somebody
saying something nice, and he's a Bills fan. I got to say something about that. This is why I love your channel, Kurt. It's a great discussion of fair criticism. Yeah, I love football first, and I really take this job seriously, and I like to be right. And I feel like anytime I home or out, I'm more wrong than when I'm not. So I'm glad you like it, brother. From an evaluator standpoint, I set your evaluation up, and so I feel really proud that I made that call. I just hate the fact that you finally listened to it, because I'm a little nervous about what you're going to do with this this excellent philosophy for what you got as far as talent and home field advantage. So hopefully you screw it up somehow. Sorry. Thank you for the comment, but I'm tired of losing, brother. Tired.
Yeah. I think every year it just gets a little more clear. You can't kind of just fan out. I remember being 16 years old and we're winning the Super Bowl. 17 years old, we're winning the Super Bowl. And then you start to learn what a Super Bowl team looks like and what a depth chart looks like and what a quarterback has to be and what a coach has to be and what a GM has to be and how the drafts have to go. You see how hard it is to build a team that's going to constantly compete for the Super Bowl. And I'm hyper-focused on the offensive line, and I'm trying not to, because there's so many good pieces to look at right now. There's so many good players that are developing at key positions. It's just hard to get stuck on the offensive line, but my God, like what?
It is such a. Curtis is right that it is such a. I gave him a quote years back. So many coaches have said it. If you can't protect your quarterback, you don't have much of a team.
That's right.
That was now. To McDaniel's credit, this scheme, getting the ball out fast, which people time those plays, and it looks like he's always. I'm going to sit down, Curtis. You and I are going to sit down and watch him play one of these days, and I'm going to show you some of these plays where he's not nearly under the duress it makes it look like. If you go back and count all those times he gets the ball out and weigh those all up, that's going to come.
Yeah.
But I don't think, for my part, I don't think I'm necessarily being a homer. They are a flawed team at the most critical points, which is their offensive line. And if you're going to take a tad of a step back, probably with the defensive line. All I'm saying is I think they can overcome that because they have the talent they had last year and they've added to it. So if I lower the tire pressure on two of my tires in the Ferrari, I'll still beat the other car in the other lane because I've got more. I can make up for it elsewhere. I just think that's what they have.
I agree. The potentiality is there 100%.
If Tyreek Hill and them take off down the sideline, what are you going to do? Let him go? No, he's going to beat you. You have to run back with him. Then if he stops abruptly and darts across the middle and Tua's already got the ball in the air, the pressure can be all over him. The ball's already out. It's waiting for Tyreek to make that crossing pattern. That's what he did the last few years. That's going to be there. No one's going to be able to take that away. And then Waddle's going to be there. Now you got Jonnu adding into the thing. You got OBJ's one of his stuff. Malik's probably going to try to get some. Everybody's going to be fun. And then, like we talked about earlier, you're going to get fast running backs out there for the balls too. There's just going to be too many targets to cover them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to cover this. I'll keep going. I want to cover this one next. Go, Cody.
No, go for it. I was going to homer out on Fanboy.
My wife's disturbing me. Yell at her. I'm here working there, babe. Bye-bye.
She's working.
I'm working.
Keeping the lights on.
I didn't know.
I'm really pumped about what Jonnu Smith can bring. I kind of didn't see Julian Hill emerging like this. I knew he was a really good run blocker. I thought he was a powerful guy, physical guy. But it sounds like Julian Hill's receiving acumen is jumped up. I think Jonnu Smith's addition, I want to say OBJ is a huge addition, but I got to see it. I got to see it. In my mind, I think of a lot of different packages and a lot of different ways to use them. But Jonnu Smith in the red zone, Jonnu Smith when we need a big first down, Jonnu Smith's going to be carrying the ball. This guy's going to have a career year. And, I'll put my neck out there. I don't really have a big reputation, but I think that guy's going to have a career year.
You do with me, brother. You do with me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's putting your neck out that much. I think that's logical. He will.
Okay.
He's going to have a big year.
Yeah.
He's going to be hard to stop.
We don't even know. We don't even know how deep it's going to go with this guy. But Curtis made a good point. I think the first time I was ever on Curtis, you were talking about we're giving our receivers, Hill and Waddle, we're having them run these screens. And they're just getting beat up.
Small for that.
Jonnu
small
Smith,
for that.
The Yak guy, he had 881 yards in 2 years with Tannehill. 500 of those yards were Yak. The guy is a monster. And then he had Julian Hill. We saw what he was doing in preseason. He's looking to truck somebody. So those two guys alone right there, if we can run 12 personnel, if we can use like Knox and Kincaid, that's a staple. Knox knows how to play with Josh Allen. They have a really good chemistry, and Kincaid looks like a superstar in the making.
Right.
Like we can have that. We can have that with Jonnu and Hill. And I'm just looking forward to that wrinkle. And if that tight end wrinkle doesn't show up, I'm done. I'm done.
Well, Miami really struggled to cover tight ends. That's the big weakness. That's you make a living. Well, the tight end makes a living against Miami. But with Maine in there now, and with Poyer in there now, they're faster at the safety position. They got a little, you don't have X out there a lot of times who was hobbling. You got Fuller out there now. You got another full camp in with Ramsey, if you call it that. I just think they're going to be better in the secondary. They're going to be faster, and Brooks is faster. So I think they're going to do a better job there. Not that anybody's going to totally blanket those two up, but I think they're going to do a better job with these tight ends.
I think I want to answer some of these. These are some really good points that you guys are bringing up, and I'm
Thank you. We got some good involvement in the chat.
I wish I had some like diagrams and stuff and just to show you like the philosophies behind some of the things I'm trying to express. So you would say I want to start off because there's a couple of these things in a row, these little comments, and what you guys are saying. I just want to try to address it because you have to start from the overview, the macro, and then kind of dial it in to philosophically see what the situation is. So no O-line, no D-line, no hope. It's one in the trenches. Well, we do okay, so it depends. First off, when Chubb and Phillips coming back, that's a piece that's floating. We can't really attach to that. So at some point, we will have very good edges and a deep edge group. But he struggles with the run stop. And so that's going to be something. That's another piece, a variable. The interior is going to be a problem, I think. I think it's going to be a problem. And you say no O-line. Well, it depends. I mean, if Wynn's out, they're saying Wynn's out. That's very concerning. Is Teron healthy? Is he not? How does Brewer play? But even if you want to go with that overview of okay, we're going to be thin at the D tackle group. We're going to be a little weak on the offensive line, maybe very weak. You can offset all those things from philosophies and play calls. So as an example, but it's not a cure-all. It creates.
No, your word was offset. Yes.
Yeah. So you can when you begin to if you're rushing more than 4 guys and you're dropping 7, that's the base. That's a neutral position. Anything you do beyond that to drop a guy in coverage or to bring a guy up, it alters the offsetting. And so it creates a situation where you try to put situation to your advantage. So you blitz a guy, and when you blitz the guy, you compromise your secondary, but now you're strengthening up either your run stop with a run blitz or your pass rush with a blitz. Sure. But it puts you in a compromising position. But it can be very successful. So it depends on how the players do and when you call it. But every time you begin to blitz, and that's what we like to do, Flores did it, was very successful. It begins to create a possibility of where you get very good advantage with lesser talent in certain areas because you're overcompensating with blitz. But then it creates holes in that secondary. And so we can offset some of our issues in the D tackle spot by play calls, but it makes it more difficult because now if you get the wrong play call or if a guy doesn't get the pressure, or a guy picks up a block, now you have a hole. So we can kind of offset by what we like to do. We like to run light fronts. We like to blitz guys. But it does make it a little bit more difficult. It's like one of those German cars. But then on the offensive line, because of what we got with the speed, we can get the ball out quick. And so somebody said here that, we're going to run too high. Well, anytime you run too high, you're offsetting the deep tension, which is good. Taylor Rapp's not a guy. He got a pick, but he struggles with speed and he struggles with broad coverage. Hyde and Poyer, although one of them, I can't remember, I think it was Hyde was injured through some of the portions of the year. They were able to do it all. They had the speed, the experience to play that high tension, but then play the robber role. And Rapp does, but he's got some kind of issues there. But when you play cover too high, simply by doing that, now you're creating holes in your secondary. I know you guys are playing more man than you have in the past. You used to play lots of zones. I got to study you guys out. But when you have a Hill and Waddle, and you say, so what we'll do is, if you're a Bills fan and you're a Dolphins fan, if everything was optimal, we would come to the line of scrimmage with Jonnu Smith, OBJ in his slot. Oh, I'm sorry. and then Hill and Waddle. OBJ would be out on the boundary. Will would be on Waddle would be on the other boundary, and then Hill would be in the motion slot, which makes things difficult because of the motion. And then you would have Jonnu over there. And if you look, Jonnu was getting 6.6 yards leverage yards last year. He was the number one guy that people focused on against the Falcons. They didn't have a quarterback, and there's all that. It doesn't mean this, that, or the other thing, but people fear him. And then you add OBJ, which even at his age, you've got to respect that second cover, high cover guy is going to have to keep playing high because OBJ can get over the top. And then you got Waddle on the edge, which is forcing another cover guy, and you got to worry that Waddle could just blow that over the top. And so if you have a mixed match route combination of, say, Hill in the inside, and Waddle, immediately if Waddle's doing a post or a fly, that's prying open that top. It's forcing the linebackers to have to drop, and they kind of did that. But once you got Jonnu there, that's another guy that can, if you drop those linebackers too high, you can drop that off in the short, and he's a rack player. And so there's a lot of chess match moves. Now, to the Bills side and to the negativity of the Dolphins side, at some point, when you start crossing the 50-yard mark, the deep threat becomes less and less a viable fear. And then it makes it harder and harder for you to use that leverage to threaten the deep, to spread out the defense. And then it makes it harder on you when you can't run inside, you can't protect wrong. And so the closer you get to that red zone, it does make it harder. And that's why the inside zone runs are difficult. But to Chris Jones's point, all it takes is a couple of scrambles by Tua. So you play over, you play deep, you drop, and now you get your rush, and some guy doesn't have contain right, and it opens up. And Tua's not Allen. He's not, Vic or Lamar. He just needs to pick up a first down. And once he picks that first down, now those rushers, they can't pull their ears back, and they got to play more contained.
Freezes the linebacker.
Yes. And so there's a lot of give and take, but it also comes into play about the play callers. What does McDermott do as far as play calls to catch him in that moment? Because remember, football is a game of initiative. Whoever takes initiative, so when an offense comes to the line of scrimmage, they know this where the play is going. They know the snap count, and so they have the advantage. They force players to react. If they're reacting, they're slower. That's why you want to punch some guy, because it's not like Kung Fu Theater where you can block. They just can't. It's like a half a second difference between reaction and action. But now if the defense can force the offense to react and they take the initiative, that's how offenses crumble. And so it's play calls, situations. Yeah, we throw the football, but you don't want to throw it in rain. You don't want to throw it in snow. You don't want to throw it in high winds. Those are variables that passing is notoriously difficult. Running is a far more consistent thing. And so when you're a high volume throwing team, it's a high variable offense. And then when you go into high variable environments, it gets exasperated. That's why if you don't have the run game, especially the inside run game in your toolbox, that's how teams crumble in these situations. But we don't know. Will the Dolphins ever play in bad environments? I don't know. Hopefully so there's all these variables. And, I do think the Bills will be more consistent. I think the Dolphins are higher impact and less consistency, but all this stuff's going to come together in a weird soup of, a whole game can come down to your left guard. He's battling through an injury on his left leg, and he hits a soft part of the turf on that left leg, and he goes down, and the guy gets blown up, and the game's over. But you could never factor that in. You can guess, but you'll never know until this stuff starts. It's just like this origami thing that keeps opening and opening, opening. And so we got to get into the season and see how guys are calling, see how guys are healthy. But to me, it is ultra exciting. I think the Bills have done a very good job for themselves. I think there's some soft spots on their defense. I think there's some, if Curtis Samuel's down, there's some concern about can they get enough skill position to get, I think they can. When they got Kincaid, they got Knox, Shakir, and they got the kid they just drafted, who I think is the funniest dude ever. But we got to see, and then for the Dolphins, obviously, I think they're really good in a lot of areas, except as Chris said, that D tackle spot and the offensive line, obviously. But if you throw the football at 1.18 seconds and you're creating the leverage with OBJ, Hoddle, Hill, and Jonnu and Achane, then it don't matter. I mean, unless you're in a certain environment like up in Buffalo with the wind swirling. But we got to see. And the Jets, don't sleep on the Jets. I could be wrong. I'm no guru, but I just say don't sleep on the Jets. Does that make sense? Or did I go on too long?
If I could respond to Jess there, everybody played them in the too high last year. It would be a mistake, I say with respect, to presume that last year's Dolphins are countered the way this year's Dolphins would. They have new pieces this year. They have Jonnu. They have new twists this year. They brought in other components. There's some scheme upgrades there. You're not going to be able to counter simply by going too high to shut the Dolphins down like you did last year. I don't think so.
Well, the thing that got us last year wasn't the too high. What got us was the man press.
Right. Well, she's saying they're too high because
that's not going to work.
The too high shut down the Dolphins like everybody else did. What was it that? Let's go with that. Whether that's it or not, let's go with that. I don't think you can do that this year because they have to Cody's point with Jonnu alone. That's if Malik and OBJ and stuff. But with Jonnu alone, that variable breaks that down. That variable
biggest acquisition.
Just sit there and hang out in the too high and hope that to work. Not this time. Yeah. Like you said, we're pulling in our receivers and using them inside for heaven's sakes. Not this year. We don't need to.
I think Achane's going to be that guy that we're going to use to leak. We're going to use to be that option when we need it to just make sure Tua has one more outlet. Because I just remember watching Brady take him down the field, and on one drive, he'd hit 6 different receivers, including running backs. Hell, he'd hit a fullback. He would just spread that ball around. Peyton Manning, my favorite quote, "You'll never go broke taking a profit." Well, we're not trying to take a profit sometimes. We're trying to just take it over the top. And we just got to make it easier on 2 guys this year. We got to make it easier on Tua with our scheme, with our guys, with our outlets, with the reads and the motions. Take some of those away, make it a little more simple so he can maybe audible. And we got to take some pressure off Tyreek Hill. I don't know if we talk about that a lot, but we just expect him to be the entire offense. The guy who's going to make that big catch.
Remember, he wanted all those plays, though. He wanted those guys.
He wanted them, but he's shown us that, hey,
and Waddle agreed to take less to do it.
You just can't beat an NFL team with one wide receiver. I don't care how good they are. The defenses can scheme up. They're smart enough to figure out how to – Bill Belichick would take your one guy away. And if he couldn't ever do it for us.
And he used to take he was talking about how New England did well against us last year. Oh, that's because they took Hill away. That's Belichick's keys to take Hill away.
I think we went into the offseason. Okay, cool. I hope you take Hill away. Cool. I hope you take Waddle away because we have these underneath pieces. I'm going to just tell Achane right now is this kid's a superstar. I think this kid might be as fast and as quick as Tyreek Hill. I think he's the second fastest, second quickest guy on the team. And we're going to use him and Jonnu as such chess pieces. Yep. And I hope I'm not homering out here.
No, I don't think so. I think they brought in Wright because they want to pound him and put Achane in the passing game.
No, Wright's there to pound.
Yeah.
Mostert's there to pound. And maybe Wilson, Brooks, whoever that other guy is. But Achane's here to find out where. And what if Tua's going to start audibling? He's got Jonnu and he's got Achane that they're going to just move around. He's going to look pre-snap. The guy knows where to throw the ball on his first read pre-snap. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be able to move these guys around. I just see this. I don't know. I just see this step up on our offense.
Well, you mentioned all the motion. You'd like to see less of it. But remember, though, I'm not sure about that. Maybe. The reason he does that is because he's trying to freeze that defense because he knows we're fragile on the line. He knows we can't protect like we ought to. When you run all those motions, the linebackers and safeties aren't quite sure exactly what you're doing until it's a tad too late. So if he stopped that and we just go straight up and try to, take away all the eye candy, take away all the flash, take away the confusion, it might leave us a little vulnerable inside. I worry about, especially now with material.
There's an audible. Maybe we're not as motion heavy, but motion at the right time. And maybe Tua can just kill that right away when he sees something that he wants to see. And James Payne, Tua can't see tight ends over the middle. No, he's not a tall guy, but neither's Brewer.
That was a good point. I think was that the point you brought up, Cody, that he's
no, it wasn't me. Who was with us? Was it Sharif?
Yeah, that was a good one.
We got a smaller center who's probably going to, just shade right in front of Tua. And
exactly. That's going to help the smaller center. Besides, in camp, Tua's not been sticking right in that pocket like he typically does.
No.
He's dropping way back this year and firing the ball further.
He's going to climb that pocket all year. And you know why? Because, that's why I want us to have guards. I'll take some weaker tackles. Tua's really good at climbing a pocket. But when the pressure's right up the middle, just like Brady, just like Manning, that's how you kill him. You come right up the middle. And you would think that we would see that and go, we got to really just reinforce this middle. But maybe McDaniel's got some – maybe he's going to have Brewer pulling. Maybe we're just going to do so much misdirection and so much movement. I mean, that's really all we got, isn't it, Curtis?
Yeah, but that's the – listen, it's the classic mover, fast fighter versus the bully brute. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we can outspeed and finesse anybody. But can we use that speed to overcome the brute nature of some of these teams?
Enough to win 10, 11 games. The issue is, will we have enough at the end of the year against the heavyweights to out-scheme and out-finesse a bigger and more physical team?
I think the chances are lower because the consistency level on our team is lower. But it's possible. It's possible. Yeah. In football it does. But if you say like you quickly, I think we've gone on for a while. If Miami wins enough of these early games, we have to go at least 4-1, and probably if we want a division win week 2. I mean, really 5-0 before the playoff, before the bye week, if we really want to take control. And if we get home field advantage, I think it's a really good shot for us to go, but it's not going to be easy, Yeah.
Well, as you can see, Kansas City travels well.
Because they run the football.
We talk about how well they do at home, but they went on the road too. It's not just at home. They won at Baltimore. They won at Buffalo.
Yep.
They can do both. But remember, Mahomes is a difference maker, quite a bit, So, but Tua can be that. Not to Mahomes' level, but he can be that this year. I tell you what, he's got more targets than Mahomes does. That ought to be a difference maker. I think there's a lot to be said in how they do that. And I do think Weaver, and I know Kurt's going to say Fangio this and Fangio that. I do think Weaver has a better alliance. They like him. They'll play for him.
The secondary, not the front, not the linebackers. Secondary.
The linebackers are faster than they were last year.
No, but I'm saying likewise. The secondary really didn't like Fangio too much because it was a very complicated system. Ramsey wants to look good.
Well, it wasn't just that, because Howard wanted to escort whoever the highest, the best receiver was. Not in Fangio's system. You stay where you're parked.
Yeah.
You stay where I tell you to play.
It was a system. They hired him.
That's not what they did. That's not what they did under Boyer. That's not what they did under Flores.
They hired the guy. Like imagine if I hired you. Imagine if I hired like a financial analyst to come do mechanic work for my car. You know what I mean? Like, you hired this guy whose system was this way, his personality was this way, and all of a sudden you're shocked. Ramsey, what I'm saying?
That's another topic, too. I don't think he wanted to be here. He wanted to be back in Philadelphia. He didn't want to be here and so on. But anyway, the point is they like Weaver. They're playing for Weaver. They're really happy. This team has a lot of they have a lot of confidence in what they're doing. I think they really believe in what they're doing this year, and they have the talent to do it. They're not a complete team. They are not. But they have enough, I think that's fair. To get a win or so in the playoffs, barring injury. Now, I don't think they're very deep in critical areas. If they take too many injuries on the offensive line or on the defensive line, that could be trouble. Where now they're trying to have to live on.
Sealer and Toronto is so key to stay healthy.
Linebacker too.
Yeah.
No, everything's got to break right. You look at these. If you watch some of these documentaries about whatever,
it's a marathon.
Won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
You're just going to see everything broke right. Balls bounce certain ways. And I mean,
Just look at not to rub it in, but look at the Bills. They were on the verge of beating KC. It was like 13 seconds. Yeah. That's why it's like you just gotta. I really just like I despise like all this like prophecy stuff. It's like you've got to go week. I just go week by week. I'm just hoping to beat the Jags. Jags, I think, could be a little tough depending on who we got injuries. Let's just beat the Jags.
Yep.
And it worked week 2. Hopefully, we in week 2. I'm going to go see the game. My wife, she gave up Dolphins in 2008, the 1-15 season. She's like, I can't do this anymore. So I finally got it back in, and we better win that week 2, man. We better win.
Every year, people put too much stock in the preseason. Then they put too much stock in the first half of the season. Then they put too much stock in who's here where. There was a stretch of the season last year where KC looked horrible. They couldn't get out of their own way. The receivers led the NFL in drops. Mahomes was throwing helmets around. They looked in disarray. They got punked by a few teams. The Raiders in particular embarrassed them. They were not there. But by the end, they took a deep breath, gathered themselves in, and won that Super Bowl again.
That's it, the run.
Patriots did that for years. You go, oh, is this the articles start flying? Is this the year?
They're done.
Is this the year? And then they go on. They 6 wins at the end of the season, and
Brady really helped that. He's got guys like Edelman, MVP of the Super Bowl, for heaven's sakes. Just that is special stuff. So, but I think you got enough talent there. This isn't Homer stuff. Believe me, Curto attests that I can be a Mr. Negative too.
You can be brutal.
I don't take a lot of wooden nickels, but I just think this is not a cheerleading thing. I just think they just have enough on paper. Listen, in the 80s with Marino, they were often not the best team on. They were not the best running team. He only had a 1,000-yard rusher once in his whole career, Abdul-Jabbar. So they weren't this dominant team. They got away with him. This year's team is going to be so dynamic at the finesse positions, especially with Jonnu in there. They're just going to be too hard to stop. Even if you're beating them defensively, I think they'll outscore you.
I'm hoping. That's the hope. All right, guys. I'm getting a little droopy-eyed over here.
Okay.
Chris, I appreciate you coming on.
What time do you get up, Curtis? You wake the roosters up down there?
Yeah, I don't sleep. I wake up at 3 o'clock every morning, 4 o'clock every morning, and I work for 2 or 3 hours, and I go back to sleep for 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, I don't sleep.
Well, with all those millions you got down there, you can afford to take it.
Oh, yeah. So, Chris, I appreciate you coming on. I really do enjoy the conversation. Please come back. Guys, everybody in the comments section, I do appreciate all of you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Cody, you're the man. Guys.
When are you going on Dive Bar? Tell people when you're going on the
dive bar. I don't know. We'll see. I think during the regular season or something.
On the what?
Okay. The dive bar. I think they're going to have
What's
me
that
on.
Mean?
It's a channel. Yeah, it's a bunch of. They've been having a lot of good players. They're real nice guys, man. I'm going to have an interview of Bobby probably Monday or Tuesday, and he says he'll come on here too. Next week, you guys won't be here. It's just going to be me and somebody else, another show. They let me on their channel, and they're real nice. I'll do the announcements and all that stuff coming up. So it'll be a very interesting week next week. So I appreciate everything, guys. I'll catch you soon.
Thanks, Chris, for having me on. Appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Chris, nice meeting you, bud.
Likewise. Have a good night.
Man.
Night all.